You're 28 years old. You finally feel like an actual adult. You're making decent money, maybe $55,000, $65,000 a year. You've got your own place, you're not eating ramen every night, and for the first time in your life, you've got a little bit of money left over at the end of the month. So you're thinking, you know what? I've been responsible. I've been grinding. I deserve to live a little. So you start going out more. You upgrade your apartment. You finance a nicer car because, let's be honest, you're tired of driving that 2009 Honda Civic. You take that trip to Europe you've been dreaming about since college. And here's the thing. None of this feels irresponsible. It feels like you're finally living the life you worked so hard for. But here's what nobody tells you. The financial decisions you make between age 27 and 32 will determine whether you're financially free by 40 or still stressed about money at 55. And most people, and I mean most people, completely blow this window without even realizing it's happening. My name is Thomas, and I spend way too much time thinking about why people who do everything right in their 20s end up financially stuck in their 30s and 40s. If you're someone who feels like you're finally making real money but can't figure out why you're not actually getting ahead, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Act 1. The Invisible Window. Look, here's what makes your late 20s so dangerous financially. You finally have money, but you don't yet understand the value of time. Let me show you what I mean with some actual math, because this is where it gets really interesting. Let's say you're 27 years old. You've got $10,000 saved up. That's pretty good, right? Better than most people your age. Now you've got two choices. Option A, you invest that $10,000 right now and never add another dollar. Just let it sit there. Option B, you wait 5 years, you enjoy your late 20s, then at 32, you start aggressively investing $500 every single month. Assuming a 10% average annual return, which is basically what the S&P 500 has done historically, here's what happens. Option A, the person who invested at 27 and never added anything, by age 65, that $10,000 turns into $453,000. Option B, the person who waited until 32 but then invested $500 every single month, by age 65, they've got about $1.4 million. Okay, so option B is clearly better, right? That person has way more money. But here's what most people don't realize. The person in option A invested a total of $10,000 one time. The person in option B, they invested $198,000 over 33 years. The person who started at 27 got a 45x return on their money. The person who waited got a 7x return. Same market, same timeline, wildly different outcomes. And the difference is just 5 years. But here's the really messed up part, and this is what keeps me up at night. According to a 2023 report from Bankrate, 56% of Americans in their late 20s have less than $1,000 saved, not invested, saved. This is the financial mistake most people make in their late 20s. They optimize for experiences instead of compound interest. And look, I'm not saying experiences don't matter, but here's the thing. When you're 27, you think you have all the time in the world. You don't. Act 2. The Lifestyle Lock-In. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Thomas, but I'm young. I should enjoy my 20s. I don't want to be that person eating ramen and never going out just to save money. And look, I hear you. I'm not telling you to live like a monk. But here's what actually happens when you delay serious financial planning in your late 20s. You lock in a lifestyle that becomes really, really hard to scale back. Let me tell you about my friend Sarah. When she was 27, she was making $58,000 a year. She moved into a nice one-bedroom apartment for $1,600 a month because she could afford it. She leased a new Mazda because her old car was breaking down and she wanted something reliable. She started going out to brunch every Sunday with friends because that's what adults do, right? None of this was crazy spending. She wasn't being irresponsible. She was just living normally. Fast forward to 32. Sarah's now making $78,000. That's a great salary. She's doing well. But she's got the same amount of money in her savings account as she did at 27. Actually, she's got less because she had to pay for her sister's wedding and then her transmission died. Here's what happened. Between 27 and 32, Sarah increased her income by $20,000 a year. But her lifestyle expanded to match it. The nicer apartment became the baseline. The car payment became normal. Brunch became a weekly ritual. She didn't get richer, she just got more expensive to maintain. And here's the really insidious part. Now that she's 32, she can't scale back. She can't move to a cheaper apartment. That feels like failure. She can't get rid of the car lease. She needs reliable transportation. She can't stop going out. That's her social life. The lifestyle she chose at 27, when she was young and thought she had time, is now the prison she lives in at 32. According to research from the Federal Reserve, the average American's spending increases 6 to 8% annually through their 20s and 30s. But here's the thing. Income doesn't increase at that rate for most people. The average annual raise in the U.S. is about 3%. So your expenses are growing at 6 to 8% per year, but your income is growing at 3% per year. Do that math. That gap is what traps people. Act 3. The psychological trap. But it's not just about math. There's something psychological happening here that nobody talks about. Your late 20s are when you're desperately trying to prove to yourself and everyone else that you made it. Think about it. You spent your early 20s broke, stressed, maybe working unpaid internships or entry-level jobs. You had roommates, you drove a terrible car, you had to budget to go to a movie. So when you finally start making real money at 27, 28, 29, there's this psychological pressure to show that things are different now, that you've arrived. And social media makes this so much worse. Everyone's posting their travel photos, their new apartments, their upgraded lives. And you're thinking, I make good money now, I should be doing that too. Here's a statistic that should terrify you. According to a study by Credit Karma, 39% of millennials have gone into debt to keep up with their peers' spending habits. Not for emergencies, not for investments, to keep up appearances. This is what psychologists call conspicuous consumption. It's spending money to signal status rather than to actually improve your life. And your late 20s is when this trap is most dangerous, because you finally have money to spend, but you don't yet have the wisdom to know what's worth spending it on. I see this all the time. People financing vacations they can't afford because everyone's traveling. People get expensive apartments in trendy neighborhoods because that's where their friends live. People buy new cars because they're embarrassed to pick up dates in their old one. And look, I get it. The social pressure is real. But here's what nobody tells you. Every dollar you spend trying to look successful is a dollar you can't invest in actually becoming successful. Act 4. The retirement math nobody shows you. Let me show you some math that's going to make you uncomfortable, but you need to see this. The average 27-year-old has about $8,000 in their retirement account according to Vanguard's data, if they have one at all. About 34% of people in their late 20s have zero retirement savings. Now, here's the math on what that means. If you're 27 and you have $8,000 in your 401k and you contribute just $300 a month from here on, by 65 you'll have about $1.8 million. But if you wait until 32 to start seriously contributing, if you coast through your late 20s without really prioritizing retirement, you'll need to contribute $550 a month to hit that same number. That's $250 more per month, every month, for 33 years. That's an extra $99,000 in contributions just because you waited 5 years. But here's where it gets really interesting. Most people don't catch up. According to Fidelity, the average person in their 30s has $45,000 saved for retirement. The median, $14,000. You know what you need to retire comfortably? Most financial advisors say you need about 25 times your annual spending. So if you want to spend $60,000 a year in retirement, you need $1.5 million saved. The average American retires with $255,000. That's enough to generate about $10,000 a year using the 4% rule. This is what happens when you waste your late 20s. You don't just miss out on a few years of growth. You miss out on decades of compound interest. You miss out on financial freedom. You trade your 40s, 50s, and 60s for a few extra brunches and a nicer car in your 20s. Act 5. What you should do instead. Okay, so what do you actually do? How do you navigate your late 20s without either living like a hermit or blowing your financial future? Here's the framework I wish someone had given me when I was 27. First, the 50-30-20 rule, but weaponized. You've probably heard of the 50-30-20 rule. 50% of your income on needs, 30% on wants, 20% on savings. Here's the problem. That rule was designed for average outcomes, and average outcomes in America mean retiring with not enough money and being stressed about bills until you die. So here's the upgraded version: 50, 20, 30. Flip the wants in savings. Put 30% toward building wealth, 20% toward enjoying your life. Now, you might be thinking, Thomas, I can't save 30% of my income. Look, I get it, but here's the thing. You probably can. You just don't want to. And I say that with love, but also with honesty. If you're making $60,000 a year, 30% is $18,000. That's $1,500 a month. Is that tight? Yeah. Is it impossible? No. It means you get roommates instead of living alone. It means you drive a used car instead of leasing a new one. It means you cook dinner instead of ordering DoorDash 4 times a week. It means you choose your 40-year-old self over your 27-year-old self. Second, automate everything before you see it. Here's what most people don't realize. Willpower doesn't work for long-term financial decisions. You need systems. On payday, before you see that money, you need automatic transfers set up. 15% straight to your 401k, especially if you get an employer match. That's literally free money. 10% to a Roth IRA. 5% to a high-yield savings account for your emergency fund. Do this before you pay rent, before you buy groceries, before you do anything. Because here's the psychological trick. You can't miss money you never saw. According to research from behavioral economists, people who automate their savings save 3 to 5x more than people who manually transfer money. Not because they earn more, just because the decision is removed from their daily life. Third, the 5-year rule. Before you make any major purchase in your late 20s, a new car, a nicer apartment, a big trip, ask yourself this question: will 32-year-old me thank 27-year-old me for this decision? Not 55-year-old you, not 65-year-old you, 5 years from now you. Because here's the thing, 5 years is close enough that you can actually visualize it, but far enough that it forces you to think beyond immediate gratification. That $40,000 car, will the 32-year-old be glad you have that payment, or will they wish the 27-year-old you had bought a $15,000 used car and invested the difference? That $2,000 apartment when you could get a $1,400 place with a roommate? Will a 32-year-old you value privacy, or will they wish they had the $36,000 you would have saved? Most of the financial mistakes people make in their late 20s fail this test. They feel good now, but they won't help you in the future. Fourth, the boring millionaire strategy. Here's something that's going to sound really unsexy. The path to wealth in your late 20s is incredibly boring. It's not crypto, it's not day trading, it's not starting a TikTok account or launching a dropshipping business. It's maxing out your 401k, it's putting money in index funds, it's living below your means, it's staying in on Friday night to save $100. According to Thomas Corley's research on millionaires, 95% of wealthy people became wealthy through boring, consistent, long-term investing, not through exciting opportunities or genius moves. The most consistent path to wealth is this: earn a decent income, spend less than you make, invest the difference in boring index funds, and wait 30 years. That's it. That's the whole strategy, and most people won't do it because it's not exciting enough. Act 6. The real cost of waiting. Let me show you one more thing, because I want this to really sink in. The difference between starting to seriously invest at 27 versus 32 isn't just about money, it's about freedom. If you start investing seriously at 27, let's say $800 a month, you can retire at 57. 30 years of work and you're done. If you wait until 32, investing that same $800 a month, you're working until 62, 5 extra years. But most people don't start at 32. They start at 35, at 38, at 40, and by then, they're looking at working until 67, 68, 69. Here's what I need you to understand. Every year you wait to get serious about money in your late 20s costs you 2 to 3 years of freedom later. You're not just delaying your start, you're fundamentally changing your timeline. You're trading your 50s and 60s for your 20s. And look, maybe that's worth it to you. Maybe you'd rather enjoy your 20s and work longer. That's a legitimate choice. But most people don't make that choice consciously. They just drift into it because they don't understand the math. According to a survey by Bankrate, 55% of Americans say their biggest financial regret is not saving for retirement early enough, not making bad investments, not buying the wrong house, not starting soon enough. Don't be the person at 45 who looks back at 27-year-old you and thinks, why didn't I just start? Closing. So here's what I want you to do this week, and I mean literally this week, not someday. Open your 401k or your investment app. Look at what you're contributing. If it's less than 15% of your income, you're not taking this seriously enough. Calculate what you're spending on lifestyle inflation, the upgraded apartment, the car payment, the subscriptions, going out. Add it up. Now imagine that money compounding for 30 years, because that's the actual cost. That $300 car payment? That's not $300. That's $339,000 over 30 years at 10% returns. That $500 difference between your apartment and a cheaper option with a roommate? That's $565,000. You're not spending hundreds of dollars. You're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're just spending it in the future instead of now. The financial mistake most people make in their late 20s isn't that they make bad investments or fall for scams. It's that they don't take it seriously. They think they have time. They think they'll start next year. They think they'll get serious when they're 35. But by 35, you've already lost the most valuable years you had. By 35, you're playing catch-up, and most people never catch up. Your late 20s is the window. This is it. This is when compound interest is most powerful. This is when your money can work the hardest for you. This is when small decisions have massive consequences. Don't waste it trying to look successful. Use it to become successful. If this video opened your eyes to how much your late 20s actually matter financially, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment letting me know how old you are and whether you feel like you're on track. I read every single one. And if you want me to break down exactly how to invest in your 20s step by step, let me know, and that'll be the next video. I'm Thomas. Your late 20s aren't for finding yourself. They're for building yourself. Don't waste them. I'll see you in the next one.